Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the GSD Show. I am your host, Mike Arce, and today I am here with a stud, Mr. Dave Posin. He is the co-founder of SOLDIERFIT, an incredible brand that's now up to 13 locations, 6 corporately owned, 7 franchisees. And what these guys do better than many I've seen is culture development within their staff. They've got incredible employees that love working there. Not only sales, as they got locations in the millions per location, and some of these locations are only 2,000-3,000 square feet. But on top of that, sales training, as I see their people are on fire making these sales. In fact, one of their salespeople I got to meet at our conference in Nashville 2 weeks ago. His name's Andrew, and he gets showed me an average of 6 referrals at the point of every sale he makes. Some of their locations are now up to 700 members, paying a good hefty amount. Dave, welcome to the GSD Show.
It's good to be here. I'll certainly try to live up to the hype and not disappoint.
Awesome. And what I got to say for everyone, as I like humor, let's be a little vulnerable. We've already done this because I got to record the first, minute and a half, 2 minutes of our conversation. But I got to say, Dave, I think I did better on the second intro than the first. So I think it was better that happened.
I'm going to be honest. It felt weird re-saying my line after I did it the first time, but I think we're at a good pace right now.
The living up to the hype line. Yeah. It's like when you tell a joke to somebody that hasn't heard it, but someone that has heard you tell it's in the room. It's never comfortable, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I feel good about the second intro. Let's roll. Okay. Well, so Dave, you were a co-founder of the company with Danny Farrar, who has been on the show. Both of you guys now shared the stage at GSDCon at one point or another. What is SOLDIERFIT and why did you guys decide to do this?
So SOLDIERFIT, we're a functional fitness program and gym modeled after the United States military. So our big focus is teamwork and camaraderie. We deliver results for all fitness levels. So our big thing is not only the physical transformations, but also the mental as well, which a lot of people struggle with. Mm-hmm. So our mission is to revitalize the American dream by creating a culture of civic engagement, humility, and unyielding optimism for the future.
I love it. And you guys started out one location, or I think the story is you guys were actually in like a gym or martial arts school or outside. How did it all begin?
Yeah, I mean, we were just kind of a couple of bros just working in the fitness industry. We both did sales at a local chain gym.
Okay.
I was there first. Danny got brought in to be hired. You know, as the competitive sales guy I was, when he came in, I looked at him. I was like, I'm going to outsell this guy. Like, I don't like this guy. He's my competition. We ended up hitting it off. You ever seen Step Brothers? Like protein? Yeah. I like protein. Did we just become best friends?
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Yep. And so we kicked it off. And, from there, we decided to start our own thing. So I think we were sitting in the office one time and we're like, let's start a boot camp. Like the most popular part of these gyms and the best culture comes from their group fitness programs. Mm-hmm. So what if we started a program that was just revolved around that, but really took the military aspect and ran with it? Because there's other boot camps that are like Johnny's Boot Camp, boot camp. Like, let's revolve this around the military values piece of it. And I think we were just brainstorming and just SOLDIERFIT hit. And we were like, that is genius. I went right into the uspto.gov site, trademarked it, and then from there just rolled.
And you guys go full brand. Like, you don't have studio manager titles or instructor titles or like front desk titles. What are your guys' titles within the brand?
Yeah, so our general managers are called barracks commanders. We have recruitment and retention reps. Our trainers are called black hats. It's a military term. When you walk into our facility, there's a big Humvee desk. We take everybody through, when you start, you're a recruit. You're not a troop until you sign up. And then we give them a uniform. We take them through the whole process from start to finish.
That's awesome, man. Awesome. Now, the type of training you offer, is it private, semi-private, large group? What are the types that you offer?
The large groups are bread and butter. It's about 80% of our revenue.
Good.
And we do one-on-one training as well as small group.
Okay. Small group, what, being 4 to 6 people?
Yep. 6 max.
6 max. And you guys offer supplements as well? Any ancillary sales?
Yes.
Yeah. What percentage of your revenue each month would you say comes from ancillary sales, supplements, retail, all that?
So I'd say probably 7%.
Okay.
On a good day, comes from
Okay.
ancillary sales.
Good, good. And your monthly fees, I mean, what do you guys aim for? Like what do you guys get most of your members at?
So when we started, we were about 25 bucks a month because we were on a dirt field. But we evolved up to 99, and now we're between 99 and 149.
Okay.
So on the
Okay.
99 side, obviously to make up for that low monthly rate, there's a higher initial fee, so an individual can buy down their rate. Otherwise, they can get in at a lower initial fee for a higher monthly rate.
Hey, you got up to 700 members in some of your studios, so you're doing well over $1 million in some of these, which is great. What are some of the things that you think your company does different culturally? Because every time I've met an employee, and I met quite a few, because you guys bring a lot of people to our conferences, so I've gotten to meet a good amount of SOLDIERFIT people. What do you think is it about SOLDIERFIT that's able to create such a great culture within your team and get them to buy in and really perform at the level that they do?
Yeah, and I don't know if we do anything different or not. I mean, for us, we preach vision and mission all day, every day.
Hmm.
For everybody, right? It starts with the hiring process. So I know, a lot of people, what they do is they sell in the hiring process. And then once they're hired, the expectation is the reality,
Hmm.
right? Because they're so eager to get an individual, they're pumping them, they're selling them, and they're not setting the expectation in the beginning. I'm
Right.
not saying like you have to completely make the job sound terrible. You still have to do your job in terms of saying like, look, this is one of the most fulfilling things, but at the same time, these are the expectations of what's expected.
Hmm.
Here is our mission. Here is our vision. Do you fit in that culture?
I
And if
love
it's
that.
yes, then obviously we move from there. And I'm a big believer. You've obviously read the book because you talk about it, Traction
Yep.
by Gino Wickman,
Hmm.
right? So get it, want it, capacity to do it, right?
And you guys run the EOS system within your business?
We run the EOS on that side of the house. We do all of our meetings through that as well, our level 10 meetings, the whole 9 yards. So
I love it.
we're extremely big on that.
I love it. By the way, off question, do you guys use the 90.io software?
Uh, I We don't.
Have you heard of it?
I'd love to hear more about it because I don't know about it.
So it's actually, so we run our business off of Scaling Up, which is a competitor of EOS. It's very similar. Scaling Up is also known as Gazelles in some cases, but so the software that we use is called Metronome, and it allows all of our employees and our leadership team to be in tune with quarterly priorities and one-page personal plans, one-page strategic plan. I mean, everything's in there, and our meeting rhythms, everything's gone through there. Well, I ended up bumping into somebody that uses 90.io, and it's the version of EOS. And I got to tell you, it's actually nicer than the one I use. We just don't run the EOS model, but it's really great. So our goals are in there, and you can plug in, and there's actually like meeting rhythms. It's fantastic. I don't think enough people use software to manage their business system, whatever that is, EOS or scaling up or whatever. And you guys have a better one than I have. I just don't run that system.
No, I
Yeah,
mean, I don't know about that. I mean, I'll definitely look into it. I wrote it down,
yeah,
but
yeah. Because I'm
yeah, I mean,
guessing, what do you guys use to like track your meeting rhythms? Like when you guys go into your meetings, where's your agenda and all that?
so we use Asana, and I honestly I
Okay.
think I learned about Asana through you,
Yeah.
through and also through one of our fractional COOs we brought on. He was a huge believer in Asana.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
like
We
I
actually.
like the way the software runs.
Yep. So we use Asana and Metronome together. So we go through our meeting rhythms, and then we go through our priorities. All our numbers are plugged in, and then they show like percentage of pace and percentage of goal. And then once we get to like topics of discussion, like stucks and stuff like that, that's when we switch over to Asana, where anybody's able to plug in their stuff. So interesting stuff for everybody listening and watching. If you guys are on EOS, first off, if you're not doing a system like EOS or scaling up or something like that, you're missing out on a real opportunity to be able to create some real structure around the leadership team and your business. And then there's tools like this that were created in order to keep all those in line and everyone on the same page, which is, if you want everyone on the same page, you have to have a page first, right? And this is one of the ways to do it.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
oh, go ahead.
I was just going to add something in terms of like setting the expectation and talking about these meetings. I think this is like one of the the bigger mistakes that we make a lot of time. And it follows the get it part, right? Do they know what's expected of them and their job responsibilities? So a lot of times what we do is we set the expectation, but we only do it once. So we'll have a team meeting and we'll talk, let's use referrals, for example. We'll talk about the importance of referrals at this team meeting. And for an entire week, we don't mention it at all. And at the end of the week, we wonder why our team is not hitting their metrics in terms of referrals. It's not the team's fault. It's they don't realize that it was a priority to us because we mentioned it one time.
Right.
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 And so,
there was somebody said it at the last GSD con. It was the CEO of Rockbox said the same thing. He goes, CEOs are not just CEOs, they're also CROs, chief reminding officers. You got to keep vision casting almost every day. Every opportunity is an opportunity to remind people of where we're going and why we're going there.
yep. And so what we do, and you were talking about meetings and things like that, we always do an after action report of each meeting. And I ask the team, what is the top priority from the week? Out of everything that you captured from the team, can you write down what we feel is a priority?
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't write what's a priority, it might be the way that we are communicating with the team. And then we make sure we same page everyone, make sure that everybody understands the priority. And then we repeat it. So I have a daily checklist to remind me to communicate it to the team 1 to 3 times a day. I believe that the key number is like what, 7x? Like 7 times you have to remind somebody until they think it's important.
Is that, I never heard of that, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
I believe it though. That sounds low to me. I feel like some people need to hear it like a couple dozen times before they, make it like. What I like is when they could predict what you're about to say because you say it so much. If you're ever on the power calls or, you'll hear Matt Kafora, somebody will say, yeah, I made 12 sales. And Matt goes, my next question is going to be, right? You know what it is, Dave? What his next question is going to be?
I feel terrible for not knowing.
Referrals.
Yes.
Referrals at the point
Should be
of sale.
The question after every sale. Yes.
Which brings me to Andrew at least gets 6 referrals at the point of every sale. So what's the training regimen look like? How do you get these guys trained up and dialed in on what needs to be done so they can compound the business that they're bringing in?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not gonna say Andrew's an anomaly, but he's definitely a tiger.
Yeah.
When you talk about it, he doesn't need a lot. I mean, he's gonna eat no matter what.
Right.
And he's the kind of guy that can soak in information. You tell him one thing, he soaks it in, and then he does it. But what he does really well is he reteaches it, which makes him remember it more. And we do that a lot with our guys when we talk about training is, we teach it to them, and then we make it a priority for them to then reteach it either back to us or down to their team.
Well, that's one of the best ways to learn something is to teach it. Like as soon as you learn it, go teach it.
Yep.
I love that. And so that's real. 6 referrals average at the point of sale. So that means if he got 30 new members that month, he's getting 180 referrals, which is probably turning into another 80 members.
Yes. I don't know these exact numbers, but I'd say probably 30% of his deals come from self-generated referrals. This isn't someone just randomly calling in and bringing a friend. These are leads that he's self-generated, which to me is a really solid number.
Well, that's the tiger, right? So everybody listening, if you haven't heard it already, one thing we talk about is dogs, horses, and tigers. A dog, if you don't feed it, it dies. Same thing with the salesperson. If you don't give them good leads that they're ready to buy, well, they're going to whimper and they're going to whine and they're going to say they need more leads, just like the dog's going to whimper and beg for food. The horse works well as long as you whip it. The horse or the tiger, you don't need to whip it. You just need to move out of its way because it's going to eat regardless. And even on a full belly, it'll eat, which, my guess is Andrew, if he hits goal by the 10th of the month, he's probably still going as if he did it anyway.
Yeah. and everyone's motivated differently. Right. Some people are motivated by compensation. Some people are motivated by praise. So you just need to find out what your team is motivated by. And then one of the big things I'm a big believer on is, I guess I call it transformational language. So a lot of times when we speak to our people, like us as owners and CEOs, like we talk a specific language, right? We might talk numbers, we're talking revenue, But if you try to pass that language down to your team, they don't conceptualize. It's not motivating to them.
Right.
So if we use referrals as an example, and I'm like, hey, let's get referrals because it'll increase sales and it'll increase revenue for the company. Let's go.
Yeah.
They're like, that's not what motivates me, right? So
Yeah.
you have to tie in the vision and the mission of the company. Like, why do we do what we do? Why did we start this company in the first place? To change
Right.
lives. You then have to, you speak that language down to your team so that they're motivated intrinsically, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what, from a referral perspective, we messed up a few times. We tried to make, either the deal so great as we weren't focusing on like, okay, what does it mean when you get a referral? It means that you have another member. It means you get to change another person's life. So do you believe in your heart of hearts that this is going to change someone's life? If you do, our goal is to get as many people through the door so that we can do that. We can make a large change in the entire community.
Are your leads slipping through the cracks? Does managing your software keep you up at night? Does customer support take days, weeks, or even months to get back to you? We get it. Fit Pro Tracker was developed by gym owners for gym owners. With Fit Pro Tracker, you can easily process payments, create and sell products, schedule your sessions, market your business, and communicate with your contacts, all in one fitness software. See why hundreds of gym owners are making the switch to Fit Pro Tracker today.
You know what I like as far as like that story goes, hey, look, we want to change more lives. But if we get that person's friend or family member in, we know how two people in that circle of influence that are getting their lives changed. When one person goes to a family party and says, I'm starting to work out here, everyone's like, oh, that's good. Good for you. But when two people from that family are like, oh, yeah, we both go there, people are going, what is this place? And once you get 3, 4, or 5, everyone feels like they're missing out. Right. So you can help change an entire family's life if we can really start getting referrals in and bringing in their entire circle, making it easier for them to commit because they're family. You don't want to quit on that. So
Yep.
I love that, Dave. I love that.
And then, sir, I will say this because this is important, right? Like, what is your offering to the referral? So your team has to be bought into what the offering is. So we changed our offering because we realized it wasn't getting our people motivated. So initially our referral was, if you put anybody down on this sheet, you'll gift them a free week pass. It's a $55 value. But if you're gifting a week pass to the referrals, and a week pass is something that you just give away to a random person anyway, it doesn't hold enough value in the team to then get excited about it. So if I was to say, okay, Andrew, here's 10 $20 bills. For every name a person writes down, you're going to give them a $20 bill. I guarantee, whether it's Andrew or not, they're going to get 10 referrals and they're going to come back with $0 in their pocket because they see the value in that $20 bill. So you have to get them excited about what they're giving as well.
Wow. So for that member, their incentive is specifically is what? Like, what if I'm a member, you're not giving me $20 bills. That's just how you paint the picture.
Yeah, I just use that as an example.
Right. So for me, you're just redefining how that free week sounds and looks to them.
Like they have to be excited about it. So for us, we utilize the individual. They get a free week pass, but on top of that, anybody on that list that joins, not only does the member get a free month, but their recruit gets a free month, and they have 7 days to cash in on that.
So Dave, what is your function in the business? Obviously, you got you and Danny leading the charge. What's your function? What do you do in order to make sure the company's moving in the right direction? What do you spend most of your day on?
How much time we got? I do a little bit of everything. So I handle a lot of the finances. So I run reports, do all that. I work heavily in the operations side. So making the teams are aligned, make sure that the message gets passed down from department to department. I do all of the sales training. So I'll go into the locations, do all the training there. I've created our back portal training. We do weekly calls, all that good stuff. And then I kind of dive in a little bit of everything. I do a lot on the software side as well, from a troubleshooting standpoint. So, I mean, geez, my hat stack up for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I do all of our franchise support. So like communicating with our franchisees, monthly meetings, team meetings, all that stuff. I hold those.
And sleep, where does that go?
I actually get good sleep.
Yeah.
This is 8 p.m. Eastern time, Mike. You're digging into my bedtime right now.
Oh man. I'm sorry. You're gonna, unfortunately, because I'm the last person you talk to and for this long, you're probably gonna dream about me, and I apologize for that. Last night I watched probably about an hour and a half worth of videos on Asana because we're restructuring certain things because Asana came out with new capabilities. And I literally woke up in the middle of the night catching myself talking about tagging in Asana. I don't know who I was talking to. I just remember I was talking about it. And I'm like, oh man. So if it happens to you, what happened to me, hopefully you're going to wake up thinking you're still on the GSD show.
I'll give you a full recap tomorrow morning. Don't worry.
You say you do sales training. What kind of sales training? What's the cadence? How often do you do it? And how many people are on these sales training calls?
Great question. So if we rewind from a new hire, so the new hire is set up into our internal portal. So we have a very similar thing that you guys use, and we utilize all of your internal trainings as well. So we have SOLDIERFIT specific as well as a Loud Rumor training. They have to complete X amount of trainings, X amount of days. So we have a full 6-week and 90-day new hire process where they have to complete certain things. But on a regularly scheduled thing, we do a weekly meeting on Monday. It's called a developmental call.
Okay.
So we'll report of what's coming down the line, what events do we have coming up. We'll talk about testimonials, motivate our team, and then we'll hit a piece of sales training there. And then every Monday and Friday we do a huddle. We do a huddle every Monday and Friday on that side of the house.
Awesome. And is your team excited to do sales training?
They are. Yeah. They get into it.
It's good when they get into it. At first, I don't know how it was for you at first, but at first, every company seems to really pull teeth to get people to do sales training effectively. But once you get it going and you're consistent with it, if you have fun with it and you lead it right, people actually get real excited. It becomes it becomes to me the most fun meeting of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot from just watching you run meetings. You're exceptional at it, by the way.
Thank you.
Getting them involved, getting the team involved with speaking on certain topics, calling on it. Because sometimes, you'll ask a question and it'll be crickets. You're like, okay, what do I do at this point? You know, do I let the crickets lie or do I just call on somebody?
Yeah. You want to know a cool thing I've started doing? It works really well. So I never say who wants to start. What I do is I say, okay, here we go. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to pick someone. We're going to get started. And then from there, whoever I pick is going to pick the next person. Okay. So let's go, Dave, you go first. And so then you would role play and then I go, okay, who's next, Dave? And you go, let's go to Danny. All right. And so now that lull doesn't exist because that lull can change the mood of the meeting. Just that lull of nobody volunteering. All of a sudden the meeting is more melancholy. It's not supposed to be that way. But now it's oh man, who's Danny going to pick? Who's Danny going to pick? And Danny doesn't know who to pick. So he picks, usually they pick the person that seems to not want to get picked, which is great. and then there's a little humor behind it. Everyone has fun with it. It's more fun when the leader of the meeting isn't the one choosing who's up, So that's been something I've been doing. It's been I think it increased the fun level a bit.
I like that a lot. I'm going to use it. I'm stealing that.
Let me know how it goes. All right. So I love that we're doing that. So Dave, we got the vision for what I heard from you earlier. We want to get to 100 studios over the next 5 years or so. And you want to become a national brand. What would you say is one thing that you got to focus on? Because you've identified it already. And if I get this right, this is going to really help make a dent in that goal.
I mean, it's the development side on the franchise, but also making sure that all of our current locations are successful, right? Because that's really what's going to sell the franchise. We don't use sales. Making sure those guys are successful. That way they're brand ambassadors or they can become multi-unit owners. So for example, Todd Williams from Silver Spring, he actually talked about it at GSD Con. He just purchased his second location, the Fulton location. Just wanted to update you on that side of the house. So for us, that's what makes sense, right?
Yeah.
If we bring good people in, we know that they can run a location successfully. I'd rather have 10 owners own 10 locations,
right,
than 100 different owners.
100%. I work with over 50 some franchises in the gym space here. And it's crazy to me. There's people that have your strategy, which I think is good. And there's people that have the let's just advertise and stack franchises strategy. And the thing that stinks is, number one, there's a pretty high acquisition cost to that type of advertising. What I've seen is generally about $8,000 to $12,000 for a franchise to acquire a franchisee. If you get an existing franchisee to get another location, you immediately cut your acquisition cost in half because the second one was free. And every time they buy a third, fourth, fifth location, it just keeps reducing that overall acquisition cost. That's number one. But number two, the only reason that franchisees buying more is because they're making money. And if they're making money, we're making money as a franchise, right? Because there's royalties aside from it. Why would I want to stack 10 locations doing $15,000 a month when I can get 2 locations that are doing $100,000 a month? So much better. And on the royalty side, it's better on the happiness level. And let's face it, like no franchise wants to get these support calls every day from franchisees that are wondering why they're not successful. And we focus on making them successful. Not only is that not an issue, but they can also help mentor each other as a community, and suppose everyone go into HQ. I think if more people did it that way, you'd grow slower when it comes to number of franchisees, but you grow faster when it comes to company profit and franchisee profit, which I think is important.
So we halted all of our franchise development for that exact reason.
Yeah.
Because we were cruising. We were all in on franchise development. We were churning them out. And then we paused, right? Because we knew there were certain things within the model that we've learned that we needed to fix.
Yeah.
There's a difference between owning 1, 2, 3 locations and then building out a model that is scalable across 50 to 100 locations.
Of course.
And so we saw like, okay, what bottlenecks were our franchisees having? What issues were they having?
Mm-hmm.
We put a pause in development. We fixed all of those things. We rebuilt the model. And now we're getting ready to go all in on the development side.
You know, that's something that it's funny. Loud Rumor did that. My company did that this year. This year has been claimed in December. Our quarterly meeting is 2022 is a foundation year. You know, how we got here is not how we're going to get there. We need to change and we need to rebuild the foundation to carry the load of the next level. The next level is going to be a heavier load. And for you guys, the same thing. You know, 1 to 5 locations is a very different type of load to carry than 100 locations. There's a different layer of management that's going to have to come into play that has another layer of management underneath that. And if we don't have the right foundation, that house will collapse. And, you know, I love that we had very similar years and focuses. So that's interesting. And next year, same thing for us. It's a big growth year. And so everything's focused on growth in 2023. So Dave, man, we got to have a couple beers and just celebrate the priorities that we got here.
100%. Yeah. I mean, and specifically, like, you know, I don't know if anyone watching this is thinking about franchising or not, but one of the things that we messed up on, right, that we had to fix, like, we assume that all of our locations are going to perform as our first locations are, right? So we look at our numbers from location 1, 2, and 3, and we're like, okay, if we did it with these 3 locations, everyone's going to do it, right? But the truth is, and in most circumstances, they are not going to operate at the same capacity as the founder of the company, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you're building out these financial models, you need to make sure that you're cutting that number. Shoot, I'd say maybe 10, 15, 20%.
Yep.
So can this business survive off of, you know, a 15% revenue reduction?
Right.
Build out, scale your models that way. And then also, if you're not thinking of it, you also have to build in all of the royalty costs and things like that they're going to pay in.
Tech
so
costs.
Another 5 to 7% off of top line. So after it's all said and done, does the financial model make sense then for a franchisee to purchase this business now looking at this?
Right.
You can play with the numbers, you can play with the models, high, low, mids. But, you know, that's certainly one thing. And if it doesn't make sense, then what needs to change? Do you need to increase your prices? Do you need to decrease your costs? That's one thing that we did, right? We were operating at these large, massive facilities. Mm-hmm. And we realized that rent costs were just way too high from a scalability perspective, as well as like management, staffing. It was maintenance
of a space that size.
Experience in the fitness industry. And so we shrunk our model down. Again, I think I said this in the beginning, from 10,000. And then we kind of teetered into that 5,000 range. And now our sweet spot is that 2 to 3.
And that's not just your sweet spot. That is the sweet spot, that 2 to 3 range. Because you still have enough room for some sales areas, some lobby, and then you got a decent working space for a workout. And as long as you're efficient with the equipment that you use, you probably fit what, 20 to 30 people in a class?
Yeah, I mean, in our bigger facilities, we're fitting 50 plus.
In the bigger ones, but the 2 to 3,000,
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
around 20 to 30.
Yep.
That's a great range, man. That's a studio that can have 500 to 800 members, no problem.
Yep.
As long as we manage it right as far as class times go. Dave, I could talk to you for hours, man, but it's your bedtime, and you got to get to sleep. And I'm the one that looks like I'm feng shuied for sleeping, like my nice blue room. You like that?
I like it. It's like a 80s lava lamp vibe over there.
You check this out. Watch this. Make the office red. Look at that, man.
Just living the dream over there.
I
Look at
mean,
it.
this alone, this is a good day for me. All right. Well, Dave, thank you so much for jumping on, man. I really appreciate it. I know you're super busy. I know you got a lot of things to work on, a lot of hats that you wear, and a lot of sleep that you got to get. So looking forward to seeing you in October in Scottsdale for GSD Con Strategy. And maybe the night before, come to my house and we'll grab some food.
I love it. I appreciate it, Mike. Thank you very much.
Thank you for everybody watching, for everybody listening. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.